Does he want me to swing into it so he can recycle it? You fool. I'm not going to fall for that. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Adakai TCG here, and I'm coming at you with another deck profile video today. And so this is going to be the Marco deck list pre-starter deck. And so before Marco gets the additional support from that Whitebeard starter deck that's going to be coming out in 8.5, I do think this is the strongest way to run Marco. And I just want to give a caveat, this is not my deck list. This is actually someone from Twitter, David Ogburn. I'll put his links to his social below. But this guy, he kind of posted it out there saying, hey, like, put together this Marco Warlords list. And I tested it out, and it's really good. It's there's a lot of synergies that kind of like mesh together with the Warlord kit / Marco's ability. And we're going to get into that, and I'm going to talk about why it works and kind of the strengths and weaknesses of Marco, right? And so, but before that, let's go over Marco. It's a multicolored leader. It's a red-blue leader, 5,000 power with a special attribute. And so it's a 4-life leader because it's a multicolored red and blue, which typically in the past we've only seen, I think, Vivi with that color combination. And Vivi not being able to attack made it so that deck list was a little bit harder to cook with. But as you guys know, I interviewed Connor, who did really well with that deck list in the Store Championship, and so, or Store Treasure Cup rather. And so, yeah, red and blue does have some synergies, even if it is a little bit wonky. But again, let's talk about Marco though. So his leader ability is Dawn ×1. You activate main once per turn, draw 1 card, then place 1 card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 for the turn. And so it does take a Dawn commitment, but he does get the better version of a Sakazuki cycle. Meaning he's able to draw first and then decide which card from his hand that he'd rather put to the top or the bottom of the deck. And so that in itself is really strong. It allows us to set up our plays, and it allows us to clear out and mitigate some issues with our hands. But we get the secondary effect of minusing 2,000 power on one of your opponent's characters. And so yeah, this leader ability on paper sounded really good, and my initial approach to this was like, oh, okay, he minus 2,000. Let's play like a removal heavy deck. Let's play like a deck that can control the board. But if you guys have tried out that iteration, there's a huge flaw in that Marco is quite fragile. You know, he's 4-life leader, red and blue. They don't have, it just felt like you would just get rushed down. Or if you got to the late game trying to play this control game, the late game decks like Pudding or I don't know, even like Black, when they start putting up more Morias, it just felt like you were neither the best at early game aggression or late game going high. And so you were this weird like medium middle ground of trying to control the board while develop a high end, but your high end wasn't good enough to support you and keep you alive till the end of the game. So it felt very wonky, right? But actually, this is why the Warlords engine just fits in so perfectly, actually. And so we're going to go over the Warlords package first and why it works so well with Marco. And then we'll talk about some of the other cards that we have at top end. And so, yeah, so obviously we have Jinbei, who is a 4-cost 5k body, 1k counter on play. You can play a 1 cost 4 or lower 7 Warlords type character other than Jinbei from your hand. And so right off the bat, if we have Jinbei but we don't have another Warlord card to pair with it, the Marco ability helps us dig 1 card deeper to get that card that we want to pair with it, right? And so right off the bat, there's synergy there. The targets that Jinbei wants to hit are mostly like Weevil, who on play draws a card for you. And he's a 4-cost 6k body, which is really great stat lines. We have the Gecko Moria Vanilla, who's a 4-cost 6k as well. Just another strong body and another thing you can play with Jinbei. And he has a 1k counter, so it's always good. We also have the 4-drop 5k Gecko Moria from the starter deck, which on play adds up to 1/7 Warlords of the Sea, or Thriller Barks type character with a cost of 4 or less, other than Gecko Moria, from your trash to your hand. This allows us to cycle our 2Ks, things like our 2K Dracula Mihawk, our 2K Law, just back from the grave to our hand, and so allows us to stay healthier, which solves one of Marco's issues of being quite fragile, right? Because we're able to counter out early, then develop the geckos in the early game to draw back that counter, and now we're still able to maintain a healthy life and board state, right? And so very cool synergies like that. We are also playing 2 copies of the 3-drop OP07 Doflamingo. He's a 3-cost 4k body. And activate main once per turn. You can rest 2 Dawn, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a 7 Warlords of the Sea type character with a cost of 4 or less, you may play that card rested. Then place the remaining card on the bottom of your deck. And so, basically, this card allows us to, on our 5 or 6 Dawn turn, we can play this guy out, use Marco's ability, put something like a Jinbei on the top of our deck, use his ability. Now we play Jinbei, who's going to play us a Weevil and draw us a card. And so you can develop 3 bodies for basically 5 or 6 Dawn and draw a card. And so it's really, really strong. It's very, very good. And so, yeah, there's just a ton of different synergies. Running into 2 of, it's nice to see early if you can establish it on 3. Then you can do that same combo just for 3 Dawn in the following turn. Meaning you're summoning the Jinbei for 1 cost cheaper. And yeah, it's just so strong. I don't know how else to explain it. And so in the early game, your opponent's most likely going to try to be dealing with your board state, because if you guys ever played against any Warlord engine deck, it gets out of control really quickly. And so your opponent's usually forced to either try to deal with the board in whatever way they can, and that means you're staying healthier, right? And so a lot of the games I'll be at 4 life by my 10 Dawn turn, just because I was able to establish such a healthy board state earlier on. And so with that being said, though, now when your opponent tries to swing into your board, remove your board, Marco's secondary ability, right, giving minus 2,000 power for the turn, it gets so much extra value because we're cheating out these bodies, right? And so even to develop like a 7-cost body with Marco, you lower that 2,000, and now all your characters are swinging into it for free, right? And so very cool synergies across that board. But the next card that this has to be the MVP of the deck. It's the 7-drop Ace. I don't think this deck will run nearly as well without this boy here. This guy is cracked with Marco's ability. So, again, early game, you're establishing these Warlords, and oftentimes your opponent's not able to deal with all of it, right? But then by the time you get to your 7 or 8 Dawn turn, dropping an Ace and giving 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 means you're wide board now. And Ace gets to swing, right? Because he gets the rush ability now, because your leader has a Whitebeard's type attribute. You've not only developed the body, you've negated them basically 6k worth of power, which is like 6 Dawn attachment, right? And so all of your things are swinging into their boards, and you're now staring down at your opponent, who's staring down at your Warlords and an Ace now on top of that, right? And him being a 7-cost makes him a lot stickier and harder to remove for things like black. And so, yeah, but the cool thing about that is Ace is just a gateway. He's like what transitions us from the Warlords package into our top end, which is going to be Dragon, right? Who's going to not only make Marco's leader ability live for the cost of just playing him, right? Because we can attach the 2 Restodon to Marco. But he's also a rush. And so this guy's going to get his value no matter what. He's going to be able to swing at least 9k while making your leader ability live and causing even more pressure, right, for your opponent. And then lastly, we are running 2 of the Edward Newgates. Honestly, you could raise this to 3, but in most of my games, I did like to drop Dragon more than I did like to drop Newgate. Newgate seems better in matchups like Reiju, or even any blue matchup. He seems a little bit better too, because sitting at the 7k power makes it so you're pretty sturdy for a turn. And so, yeah, you might want to run that at a 3 of, maybe drop a pudding. But again, this seems to work for me currently. I'll have to come back to it in the future to see if I would make any more ratio adjustments. But yeah, no, so this is kind of the idea of the package, right? And so obviously you have Sengoku, who can search you out your Warlord's engine early. But the cool thing about Sengoku, and we run 2 copies of Kaya as well, being a 2k, and allows us to dig deeper into our deck. These 2 cards bring us consistency, right? Because Marco's leader ability gives us consistency because you're drawing 1 extra card. Kaya lets us dig 2 deeper. Sengoku lets us search. And so we're able to kind of see our top ends pretty easily, even though we don't have a searcher for them, just because we have ways that we're drawing into our deck consistently. With that being said, though, right, the cool thing about playing these Sengokus early or Kayas early is that we can always bounce it back into our hands with the Jozu. And this Jozu is so good. It was really good in the pre-release, still really good in this deck now. And so it's a 6 cost 7k body, 1k counter, and on play you may return one of your characters other than this card to your hand. Then return 1 cost 6 character or lower to the original owner's hand. And so basically you're on like your 7th on turn, or 6th on turn even, you're going to be able to bounce back whatever they played on the previous turn, right? Because as long as you have a body to bounce back with Jozu, which you most likely will between the Sengokus and the Kayas. And so, I mean, I've even bounced back puddings in some of my games too. And so it's just like, and having a 6-7 body while bouncing back a 6 cost or lower is such a tempo shift for your opponent in an already unfavored board state, right? Because you've been spamming out these bodies early. Having a Jozu in that mid game that leads you to the ace turn, that leads you into the dragon or Newgate, it just kind of flows so well. And yeah, I just love how consistent this deck feels, right? Even if you have a bad hand, kind of like when you played Sakazuki, you're able to kind of skillfully fix your hand in certain ways. And so, yeah, that's the deck. Oh, we also are running 2 copies of Red Rock. So the original deck list had Gravity Blade, but in my opinion, so the reason why I chose Red Rock over that was because whereas if your opponent goes wide, they're often swinging into your board, and so we have ways to deal with like the mid-range wider decks because we are running things like Ace, because we have Marco leader ability. You know, even things like Sengoku on a board can swing into a 7 cost character, right? Saying, you know, we -2 from Marco, -3 from Ace. Now your Sengoku is basically swinging evenly into a 7k body. And so that mid-range, we kind of had that covered already. But where I found myself having issues is like, say a Bonnie player establishes a Zoro. There was no immediate way to deal with that Zoro without them having a turn to really swing into us. And if you notice, we're not running any blockers. And so I did tech into Red Rock over the Gravity Blades, and that was kind of my thought process around it. It does feel much better, actually. In one of the games, I think you'll see I use it against a 10-drop Kuzan, which otherwise I would not have an answer for in this deck. And so, yeah, it seems to kind of round out or give us an option against, you know, the really high-end tech. And so, yeah, and obviously we're running Pudding. 3 of, it's a lot. You could argue running it at 2 of, but I'm just keeping it 3 for now. Again, I may drop 1, add him to the Newgate, or maybe drop 1 and run another Dofi or another Red Rock. But I think that's the most flexible spot that we have on this deck. I wouldn't really change the ratios of anything else. Yeah, I think everything else, the ratios seem pretty good. And so, yeah, let me know what you guys think. We're going to get into some gameplay, but this deck is really fun. It's really strong. I think you guys should give it a try. Again, thank you so much, David, for sharing this deck list and for allowing me to share it with the YouTube community. And so, yeah, let's get into some gameplay. Alright, so we're up against a black Luffy, the starter 14-1. I do like my hand, I will keep it. And I chose to go second. So he did get the stage early. I'm gonna do the search first and then I'm gonna draw. Put it back like that. Place on bottom. We'll see pass. This one I will choose to counter out. Because now we're going to get back to that counter with the Moria, and we'll see pass. So he used an Ice Age. I'll take this first hit. We'll counter the second one, or Jinbei, however, is dead. Here, let's see what we draw. I'm actually going to put a dragon on the bottom and -2. We'll swing here. We're going to develop this gecko. I should have actually swung first before developing the gecko, but I don't think you can KO a 4 cost with any event. Ice Age is 3. I'm pretty sure that's the only one that I really care about. Probably gonna. Oh, he's not going for board. That's interesting. I actually will choose to counter here. Recycle the Brook. KO that. Interesting. Put it on top. We will play the ace out. So here. We'll go 6 at lead. And then 7 at lead. We'll see pass. I may drop the Moria. Moria's not going to get that much value though. This is just going to get the Rebecca back. Otherwise, he can do... Or I guess Tashigi too, right? Tashigi... No, Tashigi's a 3. Jack. I don't know that Jack does too much for him right now unless it's paired with another reducer. And we have the red rock to replace in the top here, so we're feeling okay at this point. So it is the Moria play. We're okay with that because we're actually gonna just bottom deck it with our red rock. I'll take this. We won't trigger it. We will red rock. Seven. Then we'll go 9. So probably block this one. Or maybe they take it just to see more cards. So it's like they're thinking. Which I don't blame them. This is a precarious situation. But yeah, this package is really strong. I think Marco with the Warlords solves an issue that Marco has in its being a 4-life kind of fragile leader. But then there's just a lot of natural synergies, right? If you're going wide with Warlords, being able to negate or basically lower the power of a card on your opponent's board by 2k just really helps, right? And so there's a lot of strong play lines. Here, I feel bad, but we're gonna just not let him have any board. Oh, that's even better. So we're just gonna keep making it really hard for them to play the game while we just develop these cards and rush them down. So yeah, it's like a match made in heaven, right? Because you force your opponent to deal with your board with the Warlord package, right? Because it just goes so wide so quickly. You can maintain the board state with Marco's leader ability and just fish the pieces you need with the leader ability. And then you get the late game aggression from the red package, right? And so by the time they're like trading into and dealing with your board, you're just rushing them down with even bigger bodies towards the end of the game. And so it gets out of hand really quickly if this deck sees and gets to do what it wants to do. I will say though, if they can manage to mitigate your Warlord's threats early, sometimes it feels like you just run out of gas before you can close out the game. And so there is that going for it too. At this point, I don't think it matters. We have a 9 and a 9. Maybe it's 2/2Ks. Honestly, we'll cycle just because. It looks like it didn't matter anyway. Yeah, so this is the deck. Let's get to another game. Alright, so we're up against a Lucci player. We'll see what turn order they go. They choose to go second. We do like to go second with this deck, I believe, but this is okay too. I do have the Sengoku, but the rest of my hand is not that great, so I will actually choose the Sengoku here. We'll grab the Jinbei, and then hopefully next turn we can dig a few cards in to pair this with the Weevil. But if not, we have the Gecko Moria too. So it's not the worst. I will choose to cycle here. We did get the Weevil, which is really nice. Let's place on top. We'll put the Weevil up here again. And we'll just go 8s. Next turn, we'll be able to cycle and then Jinbei Newgate. Wow, he's playing the Laboon. I haven't seen that in the Lucci build. And we'll choose to get rid of this guy. So let's see what our cycle gets us first. A Moria, which is also pretty nice. I'm gonna put the pudding away for now. Let's swing 6 into his leader. And then we'll do the Jinbei into Weevil to draw a card. I got another pudding. Wow. I don't think we'll need the pudding this match, but I don't know. Sometimes Lucci players hold on to their cards for like the high end, and so maybe there will be an appropriate time to play it, but we'll see. So they're thinking. And this is the cool thing about this deck is like your opponent's always kind of forced to deal with the early Warlords package, and then we have like these big boys lined up to help us mitigate and control the board even more. And so thank you again, David, for this deck. Man, I've been really enjoying it. It's a ton of fun. So it looks like he's gonna Lucci here to KO both these guys. What I think I will do then is I'll be at 7. I think I will go like this. We will place on the bottom. We'll minus that there. We'll swing into it with a Marco. And then I'm going to develop Jozu and probably just bounce this guy back to his hands. Because why not? So now he's still forced to use 2 cards. I guess he can Laboon and then Lucci again. And we'll counter out of this one. He's running out of graveyard stuff, which is great for us. Does he want me to swing into it so he can recycle it? You fool. I'm not going to fall for that. Place it on bottom. Minus that there. Minus those 2 there. Then we're going to swing here. And then we'll develop a Sengoku. Take the Mihawk. So even if he does Moria, it's not going to be a strong Moria play because of what's in his graveyard. You could play a jack. Pair it to Tempest Kick. Oh, no, I can't even Tempest Kick because of... Yeah, we're in a pretty good spot. He used a lot of the Luccis early to deal with my Warlords. And so we're going to start dropping a few of my upper end cards now. He's thinking. Okay, so Rebecca grabbed back Laboon. Sakazuki. I'm not sure what to play here. Okay, Laboon. Just gonna play anything out. Brooke. I will definitely counter this. Here I will cycle. We're just gonna clear his board here. I think honestly because the crackback will be kind of annoying for him now. Because now I have a 7 and an 8 here. He could like Laboon, Tempest Kick Sabo. Lead ability first to get to the 10. But then that's 1, 2, 3 cards out of his hands. And I have the red rock coming up. So I'm like okay with that too actually. If he chooses to Moria, he could do the Lucci Zuru. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. If he swings 5 at me, I might take this hit actually. Oh, that's great too. Alright, so we will cycle. Place on top. I guess I can't even do both anyway, so let's go like that. We will bottom that guy. Swing 7. And then we're gonna swing 9. And say pass. He's back to 6 cards though. Lucci players have to think so much. I wish there was like a speed play button. I guess the timer does really help though. What is this card? I'm playing place your opponent transfers 1 card from their hand, then you may place 1 card from which transfer. Okay, that's totally okay with me. Even if he swings 10 at this guy, I'm countering. 100% countering. Place on top. 7, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers and trash. It's pretty sensible. I guess all he really needs to do is kind of summon a blocker here. There's a Sabo. Does it give me one more card with the Lamempo? Pass. It would be nice to see a dragon. My opponent's taking forever though, dude. This is a long game. I collectively spent 4 minutes. He collectively spent almost 10. I'm a 7K, brother. We do have a few outs, but those are not it. That is my out that I was looking for, but good news is I don't think he has a rush character. He has to block here. He can't kill me. I summon the dragon. So as long as he doesn't summon, as long as he gets rid of everything and then doesn't summon 2 blockers, which I don't think he can do that anymore. But yeah, this homie's down to 4 minutes. I've never seen someone go this low into. At this rate, I might just beat him on time, dude. Jeez. Rough times. This guy's less than. He's falling under 3 minutes now. Is he trying to time himself out because he doesn't have a play? I mean, even if he summons 2 blockers, it's not enough. Oh my gosh, and I got the ace too. Let's see. 5, 7, 8. Yeah, there's no way. Oh, if he blocked the 5, he's completely bricked. Jeez, way too much top end.